Good evening and welcome to the La Flor Dominicana Gourmet Smoke Sessions Tour del Mundo. This is the worldwide broadcast premiere of season 2. This is the first time, actually, in 8 months that we've gone live and streamed live one of the Gourmet Smoke Sessions. For those that have been watching, we welcome you back. For first-time watchers, we welcome you here. And for those that have joined us in person and on other sessions, we're happy to be back. Tonight, we've got something very special planned. We're actually working with our friends from Rocky's Cigars in Syracuse, New York. We'll bring them on in just a minute. We're bringing out all the stops. We've got a really special steak tonight. We've got I would say another chef. I would consider a chef that's with us this evening, especially when it comes to dry aged beef. We've got one of the gentlemen from Rocky Cigars who here is an expert on beef and has got quite the setup. But we've got a fun night ahead of us. So let's get right into it. Let's bring our friends from Rocky Cigars in here. We've got co-founder, Mike Lynn, and his son-in-law, Carlo Linguini, and Linguini is his last name.
It's his Facebook last name. Yeah. Hey, everybody.
So, as you're watching this tonight, if you're cooking along with us or curious what's going on, as always, if you're familiar with us, we have the grill cam in the upper right-hand side of the screen. That'll have all the things that are going on my grill. The angle we've got here with you all up in Syracuse, New York. We've got an angle of some of the cooking there, too, so we've got some fun stuff going on with that tonight. But the reason we're here is we're celebrating not just food, not just drinks, but we're also celebrating the 37 years of business of Rocky's Cigars. And we celebrated it just about a month ago with about 150 plus people in Syracuse, a little town called Phoenix, just outside at the Lockstep, right? Lockstep Distillery.
Lock one.
Lock one. I mean, I drank a little bit too much of their vodka, I think.
Yes,
but,
it was great. Yeah.
So we had a great time celebrating in person, and we were talking that night. I wanted to do a live broadcast, and I thought the best way for us to do this premiere with season 2 live broadcast was with you all. We have a long friendship over the last 10 or 12 years, and it was only fitting. So Rocky's Cigars is one of the most talked about. I'm not just saying it because you guys are on here. I tell you this all the time, Mike. The travels I do around the country, Rocky's Cigars is one of the most talked about places when I mention where I travel. People say, oh, have you been to Syracuse? Have you been to Rocky's? Are you familiar with Rocky's? Or I run into people in other places that I've met at Rocky's as I travel around. So I feel like a large portion of premium cigar smokers either walk through your door or have been a customer of yours at some period of time. But 37 years ago, this got started. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about the story and how that happened. A brief part. We'll get into it later. A little bit more, too. We'll get deeper. But tell us a little bit about Rocky's and how that got started.
Yeah, well, you mentioned I was the co-founder, so I was the young guy. My wife's dad had owned a little tiny neighborhood store in the city of Syracuse, had sold it and moved on and was pursuing other things, and had a chance meeting with Rocky on Christmas Eve in 1985, I think it was, and there was a deal going down, and Rocky said, geez, I'm not so sure this is going to happen, and my father-in-law said, look, I know how to run this kind of a store, and I have a young son-in-law who's eager to own his own business. I bet together we could make it happen. So that was in the mid-'80s, and then we got very, very lucky and saw the boom in cigars coming in the late 80s, like 88, 89. I went direct with all kinds of manufacturers when no one really was quite into the boom yet. And then, of course, the 90s took off, and it was straight up to the top, and by 2001 we had a little bust out. We sorted all that out, but Rocky's has been going strong since the 80s, and we elected to really pursue cigars and emphasize cigars over that time frame, and it's been very good to us. We've had met a lot of great people and met them all over the country, and on top of in the 315, which is where we are in upstate New York.
Excellent. And coincidentally, now you have your son-in-law involved in the business, which is a fun thing. I grew up, in a family business on my own, and I'm part of one with Lito and Inez here. So it's always great to see family actively involved. And I said you've got a great story of how you got started. But the purpose of us being here is not just to eat, not just to drink, not just to talk, not just to cook, but we do have cigars, and they are for sale. I'm not going to lie. We do have cigars for sale, and we have some great packages. We're going to jump on those right now, take a quick look. Quick look of the Rockies newsstand outside on Salina Street in Syracuse, New York. But right on here, if you look in behind, you can see the Rockies website. We've got some packages on there for you today. We've got our LFD Tour del Mundo packages that have the Andalusian bowls. We have a box package that has 20 cigar sampler, and then there's 4 free cigars on those. I believe you guys are doing free shipping on this too, right?
Yep. Yes, everything is ship free that they order off the site. That's correct, John.
Perfect. So everything on the site's for free. I was rolling the dice there. I was hoping you were doing, and if not, it was going to be anyway. We'd figure it out.
Your packages will all ship free. Yep.
Perfect. And then we also have the next package, which is the 10 cigar sampler. It's got 5 Andalusian bowls, 2 free La Volcadas, and it has a 5-pack of our Gourmet Smoke Session Tour del Mundo, which you can see off to the side here as well. That has 5 cigars that use wrapper tobaccos from different areas of the world that inspire the dishes that we cook and that are prepared at our in-person gourmet sessions when we go to stores. We have about 15 to 20 of those planned in the next 12 months, so if you have the opportunity to keep an eye on our social media at LFD and Hacking Gourmet, and you can see where those are. But if you're not going to have the opportunity or you want to start smoking these cigars, we do have those here. As I said, we have the Andalusian Bull, and the highlight of the 5-pack of the Tour del Mundo, for me personally, is the LG. That's the Lito Gomez. That was made to celebrate Lito's 10 years in cigars in 2006. Started kind of in 2004 with the LG line, but it became a wider release in 2006. But that cigar hasn't been released in the last 7 years. It will be coming back later this year, but this is the only way to get an LG, and that's a 100% Dominican cigar, all tobacco used, and that cigar is from Lito's farm and our farms in La Canela and the Dominican Republic. So you can go to RockyCigars.com, jump on there, grab them, they'll get you taken care of. If you're looking for Andalusian bowls, they are here tonight, and they're right on there, so grab them. They also have some other limited edition cigars featured there, so we got all the good stuff going there. So back to the guest here. So, gentlemen, we're cooking tonight. We've got some fun stuff. So let's go through what we're cooking here. Now, Carlo, I know you're really into dry-aged steak, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that once we start cooking. But I wanted to kind of raise the bar, because when we did the in-person session, you brought some crazy dry-aged meat. It was super funky. When you dry age, the process of dry aging is essentially breaking down the fats through aging it in a cool, dry environment, and you're breaking the fat down, and that fat is absorbed through and works its way through the muscle, which tenderizes it and also gives a really complex flavor to it, which is really the other flavor profile. You hear the term umami a lot in Japanese cooking, but umami is what you get, that mushroomy, that blue cheesy taste that you get from that aged and dried beef. But really what that does is break down the muscle tissues, absorbs it through the muscle tissues, and creates great flavor and great texture to it. But you have meat and bone here today. The steak we've got is really special. The steak we've got today is a 60-plus day, dry-aged, prime bone-in ribeye that's been infused with Diplomatico rum. And I think you guys got some Diplomatico rum there, too, if you want to hold that up real quick. So this is a Venezuelan rum. It's excellent. I've had it before this, and I've actually had this steak before. And it really brings out a good sweetness to it. It's not overpowering. It doesn't smell of rum or alcohol, but it really does bring out the sweetness. So Diplomatico, it said it was from Venezuela, and in 2018 it was awarded Wine Enthusiast Spirit Brand of the Year award. It was the first rum ever to win in that category, which is really unique. It's located and distilled right on site at the foot of the Andes Mountains in a family-owned distillery that was inspired by Don Juancho Nieto Melendez. That's the gentleman who's on the front of the bottle at the top there, right above the logo.
Rolls right off your tongue, John.
Yeah, right?
Well done.
I'm up in Maine right now. I don't have to pronounce things correctly. And it was interesting because he was actually a distiller in the late 50s. And So there's a lot of traditional methods that they use and a lot of modern technologies, and they're really making a splash here over the last 5 years or so, and it's been excellent. And Meat and Bone, our friends at Meat and Bone, teamed up with them to do this dry aged beef. So I'm really looking forward to that. This is about a 24-ounce cut of beef, and you can available right on meatandbone.com. You can jump on Meat and Bone if you want, pick up these steaks. They're running two big deals right now. Actually, they've got one. If you plug in the code HACKING10, HACKING10, they'll give you 10% off. But the really good deal they got going on right now is called America 2022. If you plug the code in America 2022 at the end, they're going to give you buy two, get one free of whatever steaks you buy on the website.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'm
Very
going
nice.
on immediately after. Yep, I'm going on immediately after
I'll second
for that one. Yep. So we've got that going on. But we're also cooking some sides. What else are you guys cooking? You got a crowd there. I'm cooking for me and my dad.
Yeah.
You got a lot of family around. What are you guys cooking tonight? Other
Well,
than the steak?
Carlo's in charge of the menu, so I'll let Carlo explain. He's working on a local favorite.
So these are salt potatoes, simple salt potato that smash, and now we're throwing into the wood fire, getting those going.
So the idea of a salt potato, it's a very much an upstate New York favorite. These are really small potatoes for boiling. You pour maybe a half a pound of salt into the boiling water, and man, the outcome is this salty, crusted, boiled potato.
Super tender.
Great, tender, delicious, little bit of butter. And that's a summer staple up here in upstate New York. The clam bake shack that invented them went on to become legendary in our parts. But after the salt potatoes, Carlo is doing
Doing fire
Brussels.
roasted Brussels, little
so we
pancetta,
yep.
and then we're gonna glaze it with a little balsamic glaze.
Carlo already cooked off the pancetta. We've got it to toss in. And you may see over here that Carlo has, among all his setup here on the back patio here, he's got an awesome outdoor cooking display. He has an uni oven that he uses, of course, to make some cool, like wood-fired style pizzas. But today we're cooking off in it with the salt potatoes and the Brussels.
Beautiful.
Well, that thing's like 700 degrees, and he's just like, thank God he knows what he's doing, because it'll end up delicious when Carlo gets done.
Those are great ovens, and one thing that's unique, if anybody's ever cooking for a larger group, we were talking about it earlier. There's this thing called mise en place, which is French for everything in its place. You set everything up beforehand, and it makes it a lot easier to prepare things. So you chop up your pancetta, you get that set up. If you have vegetables going, you have everything ready to go, so you're not doing all the prep at the same time. Now you're also looking at this, and we've got a wine pairing we're going to do. But we got to get cooking. So how I'm cooking, before we talk about the aperture wine, is I'm doing a classic tempered cooking technique, which if anyone is familiar with me and how I cook, you will notice that what this is I'm slowly bringing the temperature up of the whole protein, the whole muscle, by applying very high temperature on the outside and having resting periods. So essentially what I'm doing is a controlled temperature cook. We're going to have a perfect medium rare steak, and we're going to have a beautiful crust on the outside. And we're going to go on flaming hot Blackstone grill. We'll go to the grill cam here real quick, and you get to see this as I put this down. We're going to get a lot of smoke. We're going to get lots and lots of smoke. And I'm using olive oil on here, which is going to be even more smoke because it has a lower smoke point, which what that is so different oils like grapeseed oil doesn't smoke, won't burn off until a higher temperature. Olive oil has a lower temperature. Vegetable oil has a very high smoke point too, but I like the flavor of smoky olive oil. So I'm going to douse both sides of this with olive oil here. You can check out the marbling on that. The marbling is the fat distributed through the muscle. Now, one thing I'm going to show you here, you go in and you get a steak at a grocery store that's choice or select. You see this little bit of fat right here. It's big. When you see select or choice, it's really big. So the fat, instead of being spread through the muscle, is centralized in one spot. With prime beef, and what brings prime beef great flavor and higher grades of beef is that fat is in a smaller area, which means it's been distributed throughout the muscle, which is creating great marbling and great flavor. We want the fat spread out. So that's a great example of it. But here we go. This first one is going to be about 2.5 minutes on each side. We're going to get a great crust going on the outside, great char. And then we're going to flip that baby over. And since we are cooking, you can see there's a lot of smoke going on. And since we are cooking bone in, we are going to, after we do the second side, we are going to take this steak and flip it up right on top of the bone to provide some heat through the bone. That way we have an even cook right up against the bone, and we don't have a real rare piece of meat here and then a more medium well or medium piece here. So we're going to cook that
Yeah,
evenly.
that's a good technique when you're cooking with a bone, because you always end up with that rare area near the bone. So that's how you overcome that, huh?
Yeah, and one of the techniques, a lot of people do like a reverse sear in their house. So they'll put it in the oven, cook it up, and then they sear it, which creates a great sear on the outside, but it doesn't break into the bone. When you have direct heat like this, and you can push it through that bone at a high temperature, the ability to cook it more evenly it comes through. So that's great. So I've got that going on. The next food I'm cooking, I made a potato salad tonight. I grilled the potatoes up, and I
Oh
used
yeah.
raised mustard. I used light mayonnaise, which is a really versatile sauce to use. I put in sun-dried tomatoes, truffle salt, celery, and salt and pepper, as I said. And I put some boiled eggs too. The only thing I didn't add to this that I normally do is bacon. And the reason I didn't put bacon in is my wife is a vegetarian, and she's going to be eating that tonight. So no bacon in the potato
Nice.
salad. I'm also going to be doing some air-fried corn on the cob. My grill's got an air fryer on it, so I'm going to put those in there, olive oil, truffle salt, and chives. And then, of course, you can't do steak without Brussels sprouts, so I'm going to air fry some Brussels sprouts with olive oil, truffle salt, and some lemon juice. So that's what I got going on my side of the thing tonight. So we'll come back to the grill cam a little bit. Let's flip this steak over, and we'll check in and see how things are going with you. You can talk a little bit about how you're cooking tonight. I know you got a smoker over there too. But you can look at that steak. I already got great caramelization out here on the outside of the steak. It's too much smoke still, but there's a great crust. And what that's going to do, if we establish a great crust at first, that's going to create a crust threshold, is what we talk about. That's going to allow me to apply more heat and not unevenly cook the beef. So it's going to create kind of a barrier and a protective barrier that's going to help me make this real flavorful. Look at that
John,
steak on there.
I was at Jose Andres's Bizarre Meat, and it must be the idea you're talking about, because the guy, when he comes up to your table, says, "Look, it's going to take us 90 minutes to cook your steak." So they're probably, I'm guessing now, like taken to the extreme everything you're talking about by tempering
Yep.
the beef and heating it and bringing it down and bringing it back up and bringing it back down. And then, of course, we end up, there. Yeah, you know what it's like. I'm sure you've eaten there. It's like beyond steak there. And I couldn't quite understand what they were getting at that took an hour and a half, but it has to be this procedure that you're explaining.
It's exactly the same procedure, and that's really what inspired me, I would say, about 10, 11 years ago. I grew up in the restaurant business, but what really inspired me with protein was going to Jose Andres Bizarre Meat for the first time. I spent a ton of time at their grill watching what they were doing, and their temperatures get up to about 1,600 degrees. So they're going down for seconds at a time, and they're measuring the temperature at the same time. So this is I guess a more remedial way to do it without that type of setup. But it's exactly what I'm doing, and that's where this is where it was inspired from. And when I came back, that's what took me from 215 pounds when you met me, Mike, to 280.
Exactly. But it's the home cooked version. So everybody who's watching, gets it, that we're all trying to pull off the home cooked version of this really great process and end up with some great sides to match up with these unbelievable steaks on it.
Yep. So Carlo, as I put these Brussels sprouts in here, I said I'm going to hit it with a little olive oil. And I have shallots I'm going to put in at the end. I don't like putting shallots in right at the beginning because they cook faster than the Brussels sprouts, and they create kind of a burnt flavor. So I'll put them in at the end. But what do you got going on? Tell me a little bit about your cooking techniques.
So tonight, again, I've got 3 different steaks going on. I got the one that you sent us. I got some prime strip steaks, and I got some prime fillets that we threw down for the ladies. So my mother-in-law, she likes hers a little more well done. I had to bring it up. So hers are going to go down a little longer. The breakfast tonight, we got it in cast iron into the uni oven. You can see nice color on that. Little olive oil, salt, pepper. Um, I got the pancetta already cooked off. Once everything's done, I'm going to do a little balsamic glaze, throw the pancetta together. The potatoes are done. They're nice and crispy, but I'm going to throw them back in the oven once we're all set and ready to heat them up. But the steak, like you said, bone in. I try to go bone down first on my grill. Get that core getting nice and warm, and then flip them over. Do each side. I like to go. I actually got to go and flip it in a second. So I'm going to pass Mike
Holy
over.
cow, that's hot.
That's hot. It's 750 degrees. But I got to flip those. So give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, so he's got his whole back patio tricked out here for home cooking. You know, his Rec Tech smoker grill's doing everything. The Uni is doing its thing, and you know, Rob and I, we get to just enjoy all the food tonight. So how's that get any better, right?
So I'll tell you, I love to cook the same way Carlo does, and when I do any type of events, I always end up cooking. Like, so we did a very small wedding during COVID, and I cooked dinner after we got married. Like immediately after you can kiss the bride and everything was done, we walked off from our little our little area we were at, and I started cooking dinner. And people were like, "Oh, why are you cooking on your wedding?" I'm like, "I just really enjoy it. That's what I get joy from. It's great having family and friends around. And by the way, I like things a certain way, and there's a lot of foods that I like. So when I get to cook them, it's excellent. So I'm doing a cookout this Friday, and we got like 10 or 12 of my friends, and we do themed dinners. So we got a themed dinner for Friday that we haven't picked, but I work the whole time. And people are like, "Oh, how do you get?" It's just something therapeutic about it to me,
That's
having
what
a
we
great
enjoy.
grill setup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, John, you showed your true self when we did our anniversary party with LFD back on about May 24th, I think it was. And you had said, "Mike, don't worry, I'm going to be there on Monday or Tuesday, I believe it was." And you got in that kitchen at 1 o'clock. We didn't see you until it was time to put meat on the grill at like 6. And you absolutely killed it, right? We had shrimp, we had chicken, we had steak, we had Mexican corn. I mean, we had so much going on that day. You absolutely killed it.
Thank you. The highlight was that essentially that Ecuadorian Brazilian stew that I made, that big pot, and that one took me 6 hours. We
I
made
think
this big
everyone can
pasta
agree with that.
seafood dish. Yeah, so we're gonna have to do that one again. But I'm gonna admit, that's the largest amount that I've served at one time, and doing it on my own. Now Carlo helped me with the cheese and cut all that up, which was a big help because it took me an hour and a half just to cut potatoes. But I'm going to tell you, the other events, I went to an event on Thursday that same week, and there was a premiere week of the in-store sessions. And man, we only had 50 people at that second one. What a break that was.
What
They really-
you were probably sleeping through the half of that.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
Oh, it was
this is a cakewalk.
brutal. I was sore for like three to 4 days after that. The whole weekend I was just useless.
Yeah, our event went for 120 people. You know, we had a great turnout for that event. We had a great room. That outside setting we had was unbelievable. We got you the grill you needed, and everything came together. I mean, it
Yep.
was amazing. And I'll tell you
Yep.
what, we still have guys talking about it.
Well, hey, we're just going to have to do it bigger and better next time. Let's take another quick jump over. We'll find out what we're smoking. But I want anyone that's jumped on, they said we do have cigars online and available this evening. We've got cigars right here on RockyCigars.com. You jump on there, free shipping on the LFD stuff coming out here tonight. Any of those. We got Andalusian Bulls. We've got the Tour del Mundo packs. We've got La Volcada on there and other limited edition cigars. So jump on there. If you're interested in them, they'll get taken care of you. They'll ship tomorrow. You guys are all back in the store tomorrow, so anything that's ordered today, be out there. And these will stay on here. I'm anticipating them not lasting very long. None of these products seem to last very long. That's what I do on a daily basis, other than cooking. But jump on them. We'll leave them on there until they're gone. So jump on RockyCigars.com. But what are you guys smoking tonight? I know what you're smoking, but tell everybody else what you're smoking.
Yeah, so we have the commemorative anniversary cigar, right? LaFleur has all kinds of angles, and what they did for us was they created a custom Rockies anniversary cigar. It came out absolutely beautiful. Let me grab one. I have another one here.
Yeah. Rob, do you mind just grabbing the cutting board?
While
So
you're
we'll put it
grabbing that, Mike,
yeah, we'll
before
put
you
it
before
together.
you
The Rocky cigar has a real cool R you guys made. It's a bit of a kind of a ornamental barber pole around a great LaFleur cigar with a band. It's all banded and celloed.
yeah,
These
lift it up
cigars
just a little bit more.
absolutely, yeah, there you go. Absolutely great. And that's what we're smoking tonight to kind of celebrate with you this kind of follow up event we're doing after that big event. There we go. Now we can see it.
Yeah,
You guys
beautiful.
can see that R on there. And John went down to South Carolina right after our event. That was where you did the event for 50.
Yeah,
And Wayne is a friend of mine. So I met Wayne through the cigar business. Absolutely great dude. I hope you said hello for me.
I did.
Unbelievable that he's on his way to retirement and doing his thing. So we're excited for our man Wayne down there. I believe Florence. Is he in Florence?
He's in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Fayetteville, yeah.
Yeah, and we had a great time. And it was his retirement party, essentially. And the new owner is Charles Oxendine. He's a great guy. It's a beautiful shop. Wayne's one of the best people in the business, down to earth, a great person. But a funny story of it is the cigars for the Rockies event flew in with one of my sales reps the day of the event. And when they arrived, Buddha, our friend Buddha, who's worked with you for years, he sends over a bundle of cigars that had palm trees on it, which were for the Thursday event. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, this is going to be the palm tree event, and we're going to celebrate the 37 years of Rockies at Anstead's.
yeah, right. But they were all there. As you recall, the box had both brands, both commemorative cigars in it, and we absolutely killed it. Everybody loved those 5-packs. We had a ball with those. And just so guys know that are listening, everything on the site is in stock, ready to go. Rockies prides itself on really fast service, really fast turnarounds. So my shipping guys will have everything out the door probably tomorrow. So I can't believe we'll have too much, any reason to delay. We'll have everything going. Carlo is working his oven. He's melting his butter. He's probably wishing he could just drink wine, but we got him working hard right now.
Yep. So back at the grill cam here, I want to show you something. What I'm looking for when I'm touching the beef isn't just the texture. I'm looking for the temperature. So right now, this is rested to a point where the outside temperature is really room temperature. So I'm ready to go for another run. You can see I got great char on the outside already. We're going to hit that with a ton of salt. It's absorbing the olive oil. And if you can't really hear it, but maybe you can.
So you took that off the heat, John, right? You gave it a really hard sear, then took it off.
Yep, I took it off. It was off for about probably about 8 minutes. Now, this time around, since we don't want to burn the outside entirely, we're going to go for about a minute on each side. So we got it down there for about a minute. Then I'm going to flip it over again. Then we're going to give it another 5 or a minute rest on the side there. And then we're going to do that one more time. And then give it its final rest, about 10 minutes.
Rest it again and then put it on?
Yep. So this next rest period will be about 5 to 8. Then we'll put it on for another minute on each side. And then we're going to rest it for about 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes of the show. Then we'll cut into it and present it. That last rest period is the most important because it's going to really spread the temperature evenly throughout the beef. So we're going to flip this baby over. We're getting great char on the outside. I've got my Blackstone just blazing hot. If I had a temperature gauge, I'm assuming it's right near where you guys are at. But that's going good. Checking on my Brussels sprouts. I'm going to turn this air fryer off because the Brussels sprouts are just about done. And I'm going to add my shallots to that. And then I'm going to spray a little lemon juice in there. Again, I put the lemon juice on the last cook on the Brussels sprouts too, because I want a little bit of lemon flavor. I don't want it to cook off. So we put those babies in there. Air fryer's on low. And the corn's coming along nicely too.
This steak technique is really awesome. I've never cooked a steak like that, but I'm going to give this a try on my grill. It'll get up to like 700-800 degrees. I'm gonna do this and give it a try. So the back end of this technique, though, is you want it to be a hard char, and you're trying to avoid it being burnt. You don't want it just to be a burn. You want it to be just a good, crusty char.
Exactly. So one of the one of the food items we had at the in-person event, we had the Japanese barbecue chicken. So that's the same way. So you want to char the chicken, and really what we're trying to do with high-end products like this, when you char them correctly, burning is if you take it past char. If you just let it sit there and burn it, my daughter's coming. She's going to be on the show here in a second. But char is if you take it off. Burning is if you just let it go. That char is going to have a lot of flavor to it, especially with a dry aged beef. It's going to get the umami. That Japanese barbecue chicken that we did had a rib rub with sugar in it, so that caramelized, and then we put soy sauce based barbecue sauce on it, and that absorbed into the char. So you got double the umami from it. So yeah, that's exactly what we're doing with this. We want a hard char on the outside. You don't want to leave it there. Leaving it there is burning it. And you'll see we'll have a really big crust. And that's one of the big questions that I get asked regularly, like, how do you get this great crust? Well, I'm pulling it off. So I'm not just letting it cook with all the way through with that char. You know, when you go out to steakhouse, we order steaks based off of the color that we want it to be in the middle, not the doneness level, the proper way. Really treating the meat right would be an even, you know, a medium rare should look medium rare from edge to edge. It shouldn't just be light pink in the middle and then overcooked on the outside. So we really order based off of our eyes when we go out, rather than the cooking technique, which is what I try to do. But you can see here, I mean, it's got a great char on the outside. You can see where there's more fat. There's more fat at the end because it's darker. It's taking more flame, but fat can take flame. So, you know, as we get in here where there's less fat, it's less charred.
Beautiful crust.
Yep.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
This is Autumn. Autumn, you want to come say hello, Autumn? Bring Autumn on here. Autumn has not had meat yet. She eats everything except meat.
Today might be the day. Sorry,
John,
Mommy.
how's that for the greatest thing that ever happened in your life, right?
Oh,
How wonderful is that, right? You can't even.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
Carlo
indescribable.
Carlo brought me a little grandson, and you know, everyone says how great it is to have grandkids, and I can just tell you, you know, you get those little ones back into your life. Absolutely wonderful.
She wants to produce the show. She wants the computer here.
Autumn's gorgeous. Look at that. Look at that. She's gorgeous.
I joked around. I never realized. Everyone tells me she looks like me. I never realized how beautiful I was until I had this baby.
And then now this is Luca. So this is the the fourth generation of what Rocky's will be. How buddy? Are you shy? Can you say hi? Say hi to John.
Hey, Luca, how are you?
Hey, he knows your name. He knows Luca.
So, since we got the kids out here now, let's talk about the wine. So, our friends at Modest Wine hand-picked this wine for us this evening. I went into my friend Kyle Riddington. He's a sommelier. He owns Modest Wine down in Winter Park, Florida. And he's going to actually join us on some of the gourmet smoke sessions that we do virtually, and he'll be joining us on the broadcast of Hacking Gourmet. Hacking Gourmet is going to turn into a 6-time-a-year special, and he'll be joining us and pairing wines with us on the future ones. But this is the first one where he's paired a wine for us. So you can jump on modest-wine.com. You can grab this bottle. This is a nice bottle, real nice bottle. This one here goes for $80 on Modest Wine. He ships right out of Florida. And if you're ever in Winter Park, you can grab that down there. But what we're drinking today is Aperture. And Aperture is from the Alexander Valley. It's a Bordeaux blend, so it's got a lot of French techniques with it. And it's excellent. It's a blend of 40% Malbec, 32% Merlot, 14% Cab Sauvignon, 10% Cab Franc, and 4% Petit Bordeaux. It's aged in 45% new oak barrels and 60-gallon French oak barrels for a minimum of 18 months. And the unique thing with this, if you're into tasting the terroir, which is the soils and the essentially where the plants are grown, same situation with tobacco. People ask me what's the big difference between Nicaraguan and Dominican tobacco. It's really the soils. That's where the flavors come from. But this is grown in a clay soil. So the vineyard blocks that made up the red blend are all clay. So The clay helps bring in a lot of earthy ripeness in the varietals, and it also, which is unique, I thought this was interesting here, the fact they're growing in clay allows them to lengthen their growing season. So the grapes get very ripe, which brings out a lot of the fruit in it. So really nice wine. You guys are drinking that tonight. I cheated and had some of it on Saturday before I flew up to Maine. But Aperture Wine, you guys, if you have that there, just pull it up. You can show them
Yeah,
the
there
wine.
it is. Yeah,
Yep.
it's really, really a great bottle. I have to tell you, I'm a bit of a wine nut myself. This is it's an absolutely delicious bottle. Great example of California red blend. And I can't even tell you that how delicious this is. Really, really outstanding bottle. Your guy really outdid himself pairing this tonight.
Yeah, no, and the reason he picked it is he wanted some fruit forward notes to go along with the real earthy and gaminess that we're going to get from the dry aged beef. So he picked that so it would stand up with it and be a good pairing. So since we're talking about dry aging, Carlo, why don't you talk a little bit? You do dry aging at home. How do you do it? Where do you do it in your house? And what turns you on to it?
Oh God! So what? I'll start backwards. So what turned me on to it? I used to work for a private club here in Syracuse called the Century Club, and we would do our own dry aged meat and everything. And the first time I ever had it, um, it literally just blew my mind. From there, it really became dangerous because all the scrap we turned into dry aged burgers, and we were doing dry aged burgers for lunch specials. So I said to myself, how can I accomplish this in my own home? Um, so I bought a fridge in the basement. Pardon me 1 second. I don't want to burn dinner.
Yeah, that was one of the first things when I started doing the show, as I'm producing the show at the same time that I'm cooking.
Yeah, right.
The first few shows that I did, I burned a lot of things. I didn't let
So
on, but there was a lot of things that didn't go well.
yeah. So from there, we have a refrigeration guy that comes into our shop, um, and I asked him every question possible on how to turn my fridge that I bought at home into a dry ager with the right fans, with the right lights, the UVC lights. Everything turned into a dream. So now my wife gets to smell it, my dog gets to smell it, my buddy that's here with us tonight, he gets to eat it. My wife doesn't really like it, so it's just us and my father-in-law that really enjoy it. But when I started learning about it and how the moisture control comes out and how that all works, um, it was fascinating.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
to be able to do it at home, save myself some money, and get the pure enjoyment out of it is great. But that's where it all came from.
So I'm finishing up over here. My corn came out of the air fryer. I'm using a Blackstone grill if anybody's curious. Put a little bit of chives on top here. I'm going to put a little bit more olive oil and some salt. And then the salt I'm using tonight is the Truffle Hunter black truffle salt. Good stuff. This is flake salt, so this is like a finishing salt. So I'm going to hit that on that. My pretty much everyone in my family is a big fan of truffle salt. So when we do our monthly budget at our house, we do truffle salt. Another interesting thing you do, Carlo. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, isn't that gorgeous? I can only tilt it so far because the juices are just running. It's absolutely beautiful what he just pulled off the grill there.
Another fun thing you do, Carlo, is you got into cigar rolling. So I'm going to pull this up here on the Rocky site. I'll mention that again. We do have the specials on there. You can check out Rocky's Cigars. We'll talk about some events you guys got coming up too. But cigar rolling. Tell me about
that. Well, again, as you know, Mike, my father-in-law, we had a roller from Cuba that things just didn't work out. And 4 years ago, actually yesterday, was the anniversary of my first event. And when our roller left, we had about a week's notice until our next event. And my father-in-law looked at me and said, "Hey, what do you think?" Sure. I mean, let's try it out. So I went home. I remember sitting at my island. At the time, I had a big butcher block island. And I said, I'm going to sit here. And I spent all day, all night just trying to roll. And let me tell you, I didn't know, my ass from my elbow at that time on what to do. Kept watching some YouTube videos, really started trying to look into it as far as I could without going anywhere. Um, and I got my first event successfully done. I think it was that summer that we flew down to Miami,
Yeah.
and I worked with a gentleman hand in hand. Just he spoke no English, and I spoke no Spanish, so it was a lot of hand slapping. No, yes, no, yes, and this way, So I got the hang of it, and now, 4 years later, really turned that into something fun.
And on top of all that, he turned his hand rolled cigars into the best selling product in the store. In the summer, 200 to 300 cigars a week go out the door. The guy's rolling 2-3 days a week, and it was the session in Miami though with the Cuban roller that fine tuned all Carlos techniques. Learning how to do triple taps, learning how to find those annoying veins, learning how to pull them out of the bunch. And then we expanded our wrapper selections, and Carlo went more and more. Now he's kind of downplaying the whole thing, but Carlo is a culinary graduate, and baking was his thing. Johnson and Wales, right, which is Northeast. All you guys love that stuff, right? And his ability to make stuff with his hands just tied in so perfectly with cigars. And we just haven't looked back ever since that first event. Yeah. And he told me he went out there and his stomach was doing flip-flops and he had butterflies. And he said, I'm going to have 120 golfers walk up to the table and ask me for cigars. What do I do now? But the guy pulled it off. The customer was very happy. And we have a huge, really, this time of year in Syracuse from June 1st to October 1st, it's our fair weather time of year. And what happens is, we get lined up with weddings and corporate events and member guest events at country clubs. And I mean, he almost has to turn them away because the guy also needs a day off. But we've really, John, just been able to expand and create this whole new marketplace in Central New York for these cigars. And of course, he did a fabulous Father's Day cigar. We did a great Father's Day event. Some of those are still on the website, by the way. Guys might see the mustache cigar for Father's Day, which was just a inspiration by Carlo. So we're having a lot of fun. We're rolling cigars. We're making cigars on the premises. We're adding all these layers to the cigar culture in Central New York. And that's really what my goal is. My job is to raise the culture of cigars in Central New York. And if there's any shop owners watching, this is what we got to do. This is, you meet cigar smokers through other cigar smokers. You expand your customer base. You show those guys how to enjoy cigars at a higher level. And cigar smokers are all on board with it. That's what guys want to do. They want to enjoy this hobby.
Now, you mentioned 2 different events you have that, we participated in the years. You have an event called the Little Big Smoke, which is usually in October. And then you've got a special event tomorrow, too, coming up where you're doing something that's incredibly unique. I'm going to jump back onto the website here. You've got the Rockies ballpark event coming up tomorrow. You're going to be doing cigars, and so tell us about that event. Yeah.
This is a really great. This is a collaboration with the local AAA team. Their new affiliation after 2 or 3 years ago is with the New York Mets, and lo and behold, the Mets are having a great year. Our guys are struggling a little bit, but that's what happens in minor league sports. But we've worked with the management of the local team. They've invited us out year after year. This is our 5th or 6th year out at the ballpark, and tomorrow happens to be the event. We'll probably have about 100 guys there. It's one of our most popular events. In addition to being outdoors and enjoying the food, getting a couple home run balls, hitting to the right field stands where we're going to be. Guys bring their wives. I had a couple guys say, hey, I want to bring my 8-year-old along this year. I want to have a little fun, bring them out to the ballpark. And I'll tell you what, we just have an absolute ball. The guys get checked in. They get their cigars. It's there's a bar out there. There's all kinds of food that gets laid out. So we end up having a great night with the purchase of a ticket to the event. They get parking. They get a game ticket. They get their cigars. They get dinner, and we all get to hang around and basically spend the day with a bunch of guys enjoying the hobby of cigars. And we get to take an American pastime. If you're a baseball fan or a casual baseball fan, you
What
end up
better way?
having a great day out there. It's just,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have great weather again. Thank God. The weather gods shined on us again. We're gonna have 74 degrees, partly cloudy. It's going to be absolutely magnificent day out there. But we can't wait. We're looking forward to it. But all those events take a lot of work. I get to stand here and tell everyone about the event, but believe me, I have an unbelievable event squad, and these guys show up and they put everything together. And man, I just get to stand there and look like a big shot while all these guys bring Rockies. It's like a home run for Rockies, believe me.
Well, I have everyone on. I don't want to skip over. You mentioned the Little Big Smoke. The one humbling thing about that is 2 years ago, before COVID, it was going to be the 20th anniversary. So this year could be 22 years, but it's going to be the 20th anniversary. Hopefully, we can get you up. It's the second Thursday in October. All the proceeds goes to MS, so it's a great cause. And when Mike started doing that, my first time coming in, God, it's been 10 years because I've been with Capri 10 years. I got into this place. I'm like, what guy wants to be inside and smoke? I really didn't think anything of it. And lo and behold, 250 people show up for this thing. Because it's got great things attached to it, like MS, as well as all the cigars that everyone gets out of it. So it's a really cool thing that he's brought to this area to get, guys from all over Central New York to really come in for a great night.
Yeah, so the Little Big Smoke is really a big smoke event in a small town. So we ended up calling it the Little Big Smoke,
Yeah.
and we just tried to bring our version of those great big smoke events to our small little burg here in Syracuse. And the guys across Central New York have been great supporters. As Carlos said, we get a couple hundred guys here, and all the vendors show up, and they get unbelievable selection of cigars. And on top of that, we have a great night for MS. We're their biggest fundraiser of the year, and it gives us a chance to give back, which is also part of what you got to do. You got to be willing to give back, and that's been one of our goals over the years. So here we are, 20, 22 years, whatever it is. It's so many years we can't even count. And supporting MS for all these years, it does our heart a lot of good, and it does MS a lot of good at the local level. They're very, very local MS charity, and we end up getting to bring cigar smokers in and having a lot of fun doing it.
Yep. So speaking of events, we got a bunch of good stuff coming up in regards to Gourmet Smoke Sessions. This is a fun month for us as we end June, which is crazy that we're ending June. But July kicks off with a bang for the Gourmet Smoke Sessions. If you jump over to hackinggourmet.com, you can check out all of our Tour de Mundo and all the Gourmet Smoke Sessions. We also have live episodes on there from the past. You can meet the hackers, our business partners, and you also buy swag if you're interested. But the most important part is it has the La Flor Dominicana Gourmet Smoke Sessions listed. Our next Gourmet Smoke Session is coming up with our friends in Arkansas at West End Cigars. We're going to be at their Conway store. A little bit different menu. You're going to be getting 4 cigars with this one. There will be no live stream. This will be in person there, but that's July 21st at 6 p.m. at West End Cigars in Conway, New Hampshire. And then my favorite day of the year, besides Christmas and my wedding day, is July 4th, Independence Day. It says 7 p.m. on here. Ignore that. At 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be streaming live in all these same outlets, and we will be doing the 2022 Gourmet Smoke Session LFD Firework Extravaganza with our friends at Fox Cigars in Scottsdale and Gilbert, Arizona. If you've seen on social media, the 2022 Stars and Stripes is available, but we'll be live at 9 p.m. from the lake up here in Maine, firing off over 10,000 fireworks. So if you want to see a great show, if you saw it last year, it's something not to miss. If you're at home and you want to tune in and you don't have fireworks in your area, we invite you to light up a Stars and Stripes with us, and we'll see you at 9 p.m. For that. So those are the next two sessions that we have coming up. And while we're here, I just want to review one more time the specials that we do have, RockyCigars.com. We've got Andalusian Bulls, we've got Tour de Mundo packs, we've got limited editions, we've got free cigars, we've got free shipping. If you're looking for limited LFD or you're just looking for some great cigars in general, you're not an LFD smoker, this is one of the best ways to get started. You can get the very rare Andalusian Bull, and then the Tour de Mundo pack has something for everybody in there. And those are all available until they're gone. But gentlemen,
yeah, I want to add, you guys did a killer job on that Fox cigar. The Stars and Stripes cigar is absolutely killer. I hope guys will get on to Fox's site and check those out as well. The real cool limited special LaFleurs, and I was really happy with the great job you did with those guys. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to the grill cam here. I've changed the position. You can see my finished steak. It's been resting. Before I cut into that, I want to show you the corn and Brussels sprouts. Carlo, I didn't get to see your Brussels sprouts, but I'm going to tell you these are a home run. You probably put pancetta in yours, which I'm jealous of.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, minus the pancetta, these are over the top.
It's a beautiful night. Look at that.
Yeah, what a nice bite, right?
Yep. Now we're going to get into steak. Normally I'd let this rest a little bit longer, but we're going to get into it because I want to see what it looks like. So here you can see the bone cooked right. Another thing with dry age, when you cut into this, it usually looks a little more red right at the beginning. Sorry, not a little more red. It's a little more lighter. It's a little grayer. And so you can see here it's a little gray. So somebody say, oh, that's overcooked. As soon as that hits the oxygen, when I post pictures on later in the evening, that's going to turn perfectly red from edge to edge in just a short period of time. And it's cooked perfect. You can see here, we're cooked perfect edge to edge. This is going to completely take on a red color that you have there. And another thing about dry age, you're probably noticing, there's not a lot of juice coming out here. The reason why there's not a lot of juice coming out here is because we let it rest. And that resting period allowed the moisture, which is the fat, essentially, and the flavor to absorb back into the beef. So you're not losing all that flavor. So if you've got a lot of juices on there, most of what you're seeing here is just the oil on the outside. If you're cutting into the steak and you got juices flowing all over the place, you're losing all that flavor. So there we go. There's the finished product there. We're going to hit it with a little finishing salt. This is the black truffle salt from Truffle Hunter. It's a flake salt. Going to give it a ton of good flavor, getting that umami that we want. Get a picture for Instagram.
Yeah, John, that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
Why do I still have things on my hand?
Well, gentlemen.
Well done, brother. Well done.
That really wraps up the cooking side. The next thing we need to do is eat. But I had a pleasure tonight. My dad's sitting off the side. We're going to crack a few beers. We're going to have a cigar. I'm sure you guys are doing the same. You seem to have a great setup there, too. But I want to thank you for the support over the years, not just to the brand, but as a support of me personally, too. You've been great partners in my business growth in this industry, and I know the best is yet to come. But cheers to you all. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy tomorrow night at the Bark. It's going to be a great time. We'll see you all on the 4th of July for the fireworks extravaganza, and we'll see you in person on in the middle of July after we get back from the PCA trade show for our next gourmet smoke session in Arkansas. Until then, have a great night. Enjoy your meals. Grab some cigars online. Grab some family, and have a great meal. So thank you so much, and hope you enjoyed the night, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, John.